Hello boys and girls, and welcome to a new episode of Unity 2D tutorials. In this episode we're going to talk about multiple jumps, whether it's double, triple, or even quad or more. Depends on you. Let's start. We're going to apply double jump on our character controller. And then if you just came into this video without any prior videos from my tutorials, please feel free to check them out. If you don't, you can check the source code in the Github, which you can find in the description below. Without any further ado, let's start with the game. So we have our character controller in here called Fox. Before jumping into the script, I want to show that the small change that's been done here. I've added another platform in here. It's way too high. And what I mean by this is I can't reach it with a normal jump. And this is going to be used for what the fuck? So we're going to start by implementing the double jump. And I'm going to keep the option. So far we've got our character controller that runs and jumps and everything's fine here with crouching. So we want to apply. So we're going to have. So we have our character controller right here, and we need to apply a double jump. Enable to be able. So we've got our character controller here. So we've got our character controller here, and I've added another platform here. If you can see on the left side, it's really high, and it's used to actually test the double jumping here. So far, with a normal jump, you can't reach it. So what we're going to do, we're going to implement the double jump and then get up there. The only thing about this script is we're going to have to do some modifications. And then if you just came to the script, to the video, so we're back here with our character controller, and then we have to make a script that makes him double jump in order to reach this upper platform. And then if you just came to this video without any prior knowledge in my previous videos, feel free to watch these videos. If not, you can access the source code in GitHub, which is going to be visible in the description below. So without any further ado, let's start with the script. Let's access our Fox, which is our character controller. So for the double jump, I'm gonna go ahead and explain it step by step what's gonna happen in a theoretical way. So we have the character standing on the floor, and we need him to jump twice to reach higher places. In a logical way, we can do the jumping in a specific number of clicks. And by clicks I mean the space bar, which we have right now. And then in each click we're gonna register like an event that decreases our total jumps. And then we can put as much as we want total, like we can put 2 to 4, 10 even if you want. And with every jump that value goes down, and then you actually apply a jumping mechanics, and so on so forth until you reach 0, which you can't jump anymore, or if you land on the floor, this whole mechanic will reset. It's quite simple to implement, and then all we have to do right now is I have to scroll down to our main move method. In this method we're handling the moving, the jumping, and the crouching. Since we're going to do more elaborate interactions with our jumping mechanics, I need to actually take everything that relates to jumping and put it outside of this script. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this part, this is the jumping part, I'm going to have to take it out from here and also this take out the jumping boolean and make I'll make it here, it's fine. I'll make something called jump, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to take this thing out, the jump flag, because we're not inputting any flags at the moment or events, and we don't need this thing because this, oh actually this one belongs to the crouching, so I'm gonna bring it back here. So we've got ourselves a jumping script, and then we have to modify the rest of the script. So right now we had this thing getting called from the fix update in here, which actually inputs the movement, the jump event, and the crouching event. So since we're going to handle jump from another method, we're going to take this out and then call jump from here. Oh no, sorry, not here. We're going to have to call it from over here when you press jump. Since we took that jump off, we don't really need, wait, I think let me just, before I get confused, so let me just disable this thing from here, save everything here, minimize this. So how do we did this before? Whenever we press space, let's take this one out, it was like this. We used to enable the jump, and this jump was getting passed along with inside the move. Since we're not gonna be using this anymore, we can take this out. Sorry. And the same thing, actually we can disable this from up here, and we don't need this thing here. Since we have a specific control from here, we need this event of pressing space, which is by default space. You can change it wherever you want. We click the jump button. So we can take this animator call and put it in here, because it's nicer to have everything grouped up in one place. If you want to change something, you won't have to get back here and check whatever is happening. And let's make this looks nicer. So if we have only one line, we don't need actually curly brackets. And the other thing is, what I'm going to do is, right now we're adding force, which was fine, but it's not the optimal way of handling jumping in this scenario, because force, it depends on the current rigid body status of the character. And if you apply one force of, let's say 5, the power of 5 in the positive y, which means upwards, it's gonna jump with that value 5. But if you press space again, it's gonna jump with even higher, because it accumulates to whatever was before, like it actually gets appended. So what we're gonna use is we're gonna have to do the velocity change, and it's gonna be quite simple. But right now I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna make it work like this. We're gonna go apply vector up dot jump power, and then we take this one out. So this one will not break the x values, so we don't have to worry about this, because it's only applying an additional like a vector to the existing velocity. You can have it like this. You can have it written in new vector 2 with stuff in here, and then the power will be here. But since we don't need to, we're not changing the x, this one is much more elaborative. And one other thing is going to happen is, because we're using the velocity, it has different approach than force. So the power that we have right now is 250. It's going to be a lot stronger than before. So what I'm going to do is going to make it way much lower. So I'm going to go with 8. It's too low, so let's make it 9. Let's just make it 10. 10 will be feasible, like we can actually jump on this platform. So with this one, we can't really reach it. We have the same power here. We have everything the same, right? The same mechanics. We just change the orientation here. Let's put this 10 so we don't forget about it. Save it. So we haven't done so much. Like so far, I haven't done a lot of things. We just took out the jumping from the move and put it here. Let's work with the jump, double jump mechanics. So before we start, we need to add some things in here. And by things, I need to have the float value. And this float value is gonna, integer value. It's gonna have total jumps. and another value called available jumps. Let me explain available. No. Let me explain. So total jumps can determine how many jumps we can do in general, like 2 jumps, 3 jumps. And the available value will control how many jumps we have left. So if we jump once, it will start as 2 and then become 1. If we jump again, it becomes 0, so and then we can't jump anymore. That's basically the whole thing. So let's go back to the jumping. And by the way, you can go to the definition of the method, which is F12 here, by just clicking F12. It's a much faster way to do it. Also, I've got a request from one person on the comments that if I can increase the size of the IDE. So it was 150, I made it 175. Oh, that's a lot. I mean 175. So that's good. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have to make sure that whenever we jump, we're consuming one of the available jumps. And before we do that, man, and we need to assign the available jumps into how many jumps we have at the start of the game. So we have 2 jumps in total, so we have 2 jumps available. Whenever we click jump, we have to check one thing. We have to determine whether this is the initial jump or it's the multiple jump. This is something that it came into my mind after actually thinking through the whole thing. So what we have to do is we're gonna have to add a boolean called multiple jump, and it's false by default. The purpose of this is you'll see it in a bit, but I'm gonna explain it verbally right now. So whenever we are standing on the ground and we click space, we initiate the first jump, right? Then we can do the second jump, and then we land on the floor, which is fine, by the way. But let's say you're running off an edge and then you fall off the edge and then you press jump. If we don't have a flag that detects if we actually did a voluntary jump at the start, we're going to be able to jump off a falling edge, which is not properly done in a sense of a gameplay. Because for me, I want to be able to double jump when I do the first jump. You know, it's not when I fall from the edge. This will become much more clear when we have more stuff in here. So what we're going to do here, we're going to have to see, right now if we click jump and we're on the floor, we're going to initiate multiple jump to true. That's it. So whenever this thing is on, as soon as we jump from the floor, that is grounded becomes false, which means this one is not accessible anymore. We're going to access this part. So in this part, we're going to have to do this thing. We're going to check if we have the multiple jump enabled. That means we did jump before. And at the same time, we're going to have to check if available jumps is more than 0. By the way, I forgot to add something here. As soon as we jump, we have to decrease the available jumps. So if we have 2 jumps, we click it, we have 1 jump left. And then when we have 1 jump left, we're flying, and then we did initiate the jump, and we still have 1 jump left. If we still press that button, we're gonna do the same procedure again. We're gonna jump again and then decrease the jump. And after this happens, we have no extra jumps. We can't do the jumping anymore. So if we go back, let's let the game load, and we give this a test. Okay, so we can see right now the total jumps is 0. Let's make it 2 because we need double jumps. Let's try. So as soon as we're grounded, we can do the jump. Like right now, if I click space again, I can jump. If I keep pressing, nothing happens. So if I press back, boom. Oh, something I forgot to do is, I forgot to mention that the total jump has to be reset, the available jumps, so it gets decreased, right? If we have 2 jumps and we jump twice, it becomes 0. But we have to bring it back to the original total jumps as soon as we land on the floor. And for that, we're going to have to make a new mechanics. which is detecting when we actually land on the floor. We already have it though. We have this thing here called isGrounded true. But the one thing about this is this one is getting called all the time. Excuse me for a minute. Alright, I'm back. Had to clear my throat. God knows what's happening. Alright, so this thing is getting called multiple times. I mean, actually, a lot of times. And I want to make this more optimized. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement something called was grounded. It's basically, we add a boolean here called was grounded. And it's going to get the value of is grounded. So what this means is we're going to track our previous state of is grounded. So if we're standing on the floor, let me actually show you my my paint skills. So if we have a player, right? Let's say we've got our player. I'm better than brush. So we have a floor, and then we got ourselves a player, right? That's our player. So we got ourselves first is grounded, and then was grounded. If we're standing on the floor, the is grounded is true. At the same time, this one becomes true. So this state is keep on going on and on all the time. So it's like we were on the floor, we are on the floor, and we were on the floor. And if we keep on the floor, this will stay like this. But we want to detect when do we actually leave the floor and when we come to the floor. And this happens when we press the jump. So when we press jump in this situation here, the is becomes false, but the was is still true. So we have this kind of a opposition here. So when this happens, that means we actually leapt off the floor. But in the opposite way, when we land on the floor, our previous state was, let's make here, our previous state was, the was thing was, a lot of was here, was false, because we were not on the floor, we were off the floor. But our current state is true, which also gives us this opposition, which means we landed. So we're going to use this mechanics to figure out when we landed and when we actually jumped from the floor. Yes, I don't want to save this piece of art. And if we go back to the script, this thing will help us figure out all this stuff. So let's say we want to detect when we land on the floor. So as soon as we detect something in here, this collider length more than 0 means we actually touched a ground, sorry. And we're gonna have to check something here. We're gonna say, okay, we landed on the floor. What we have to say is, if we were not on the floor, actually let's debug here. So landed. Same thing goes in here. This means we touched a ground, but if we did not touch a ground, we have something else. But we don't have to implement this in here because we have already a way of detecting when do we jump, which is pressing the space bar here, right? So as soon as we do this thing here, we've got ourselves a jump. So when we detect the landing part, we need to reset, as we did before, the available jumps into the total jumps. So in this way, we can make sure that whenever we land on the floor, our available jumps gets refreshed, and we can re-jump again with multiple jumps that we have set up before. Let's give it a test. And we'll see, like, as soon as we land right now, we're gonna get this thing if we jump. Huh. Okay, I think I missed something. Hold on. Oh no, we're fine. Oh, never mind. I took out the debug. I should have kept it so we can see it. Yep, that's not a good teaching lesson. Landed. Okay, so let it load. Get a sip of my soda. Ooh. Okay. Let's give it a test. Hopefully in this way we'll have a fully fledged jumping again. So right now we see we got an event landed. So if we jump once, let's see, we got landed. Let's go jump one again, landed, one again, landed. You can see because I have collapse. That's it. If you collapse it, it all comes up into one similar part if they were the same debug. So that's it. So I was talking about something else about falling off the edge. Let me demonstrate. So right now we can jump twice, right? Here, two. That's amazing, right? But what if we fall off the edge? We can jump again, right? Which is fine, but it doesn't serve, like, at least what I think in my game. I don't want this to be implemented because when you fall down, that means you messed up something and you're not able to be saved yourself. So in this sense, we have this thing in here. We enable the multiple jump, and it's whenever we're not on the floor, we can do only the double jump or the triple jump when this is enabled. And this thing is only enabled when we click the jump manually. But there was an issue. We saw that we were able to jump. Why? Because we should disable this thing as soon as we land on the floor. The same thing is in here. Okay. Come on, come on. Alright, we're here. So with this, we're going to be able to double jump only when we initiate it. But if we fell off the edge, we won't be able to double jump. So right now, if I fall, nothing happens. And then with this, we have ourselves a full-fledged multiple jumps. You can play with this value here. Let's make it 5. You can see I can do 2, 3, 4. No, I can do it. Yep, so I have to reset the game. Make this 5. Because we set the available at the start of the game. And then when we start this game, we can jump 5 times. I think I can jump off the screen right now. 4, 5. I can't jump anymore. Yeah, we're back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that's it. With this script, we have ourselves a multiple jump mechanics with a dynamic way of setting this up. And I hope you guys like this video. If you do, hit the like and subscribe for more amazing content. And we're going to implement another thing later in another video, which is called coyote jump. I think somebody has this in their mind. It's whenever we come across an edge, you need to be able to leap from it. And then that's really helpful for a lot of fast-paced game. But for now, I'm going to meet you guys and girls in the next one. Bye-bye.